Because the doom and gloom is here, are we going to start off the show with doom and gloom? Is that what we're doing?
I think it's just the only way to do this. I think we have to.
Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
Welcome back. We got a catch-up episode today with your friends Tommy Toronto and Steve.
Sorry, Steve.
There we go. Almost messed. Well, I did mess it up. Steve, the market is behaving odd. We've been having conversations before we hit record, and you're like maybe holding the most amount of listings you've had in a long time.
Doom and gloom already, Tom. Wait. Are we gonna start? Because the doom and gloom is here, are we going to start off the show with doom and gloom? Is that what we're doing?
I think it's just the only way to do this. I think we have to. Where I've actually had like one of my most productive months of the year. Not to try to put it in your face, but you'd think as a real estate agent having 15 listings on the market is a great thing. It means people want to work with you. They reach out to you, you go in, you pitch on their listing, they decide that they'd like to hire you. Now, if those listings don't sell, though, all it really means is every month, let alone the time involved, but the money spent to bring them to the market and have them sit there is not exactly great as a business owner. What is going on with you? And then I'll share my side of things.
The inventory is here. We are now, right now, this morning, we're approaching 7,500 active listings on our market, which is on the upper end of what I call a healthy market. It's over a healthy market. It's an overall buyer's market. Across the city of Surrey, in some areas, it's like 20 months supply. It's here. Inventory is here. There's lots to pick from.
20 months supply for what? Like what type of property is that?
2-bed condos in downtown Surrey. They are available and there's not that many people looking, and it's kind of spread out all over, but we're still going into multiple offers on certain things in certain areas. Sure. But generally speaking, yeah, I've never carried, I looked back through the analysis here. I've never carried more than 5 listings in a given week since really 2014. There may have been some weeks where there was like 6 on the market, but 2 of them are sold or whatever, they roll over. And I want to say like I have a very regimented email inbox, and my active listing folders are now surpassing the firm deal folder. So I think we're going to be sitting at next week, by the time this comes out anyway, 14 actives on the market.
So I knowing you for a long time, that if you're meeting with a seller, you're going to give it to them straight. You've always been like that in life. So you're not going to promise them some ridiculous price just to get the listing signed and grind them down. You're going to say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what
trouble I'm in.
Well, well, what trouble are you in?
Well, think about it. When the market turns, for instance, it was good beginning of the year. March, April were slow. May, beginning of June looked like it was going to turn around a little bit. So we weren't very aggressive on pricing a lot of them. We were just like, where the CMA says here, let's price it where the CMA says. And now there are definitely clients of mine that are like, I mean, you said this was a good price. And I'm like, it was a good price. It was a good price 30 days ago, 60 days ago. And now there is so much inventory. We have now exceeded amounts of inventory, or right around amounts of inventory from 2014. So at no point in the last decade, and it's almost exactly a decade, June 2014, have we seen this much inventory on the marketplace. So if you hire an agent like young Tom Storey, who hasn't been around that long, you might be in trouble. You might not know how to navigate. I'm kidding, Tom. Obviously,
don't confuse my my age for my experience level, Steven.
That's actually a very good, very, very good point. But we're seeing a similar market. It's a much more healthy market. It's much better for buyers. It's not doom and gloom, crash, bang, but there's a lot of inventory on. And if you're not well listed right now, you are simply not even getting showings. It's just not going to happen. There's only 1,000 sales this month and 7,500 active listings. It's an overall buyer's market. Just the way it is. It's you have to be very well priced.
Yeah.
You have to look perfect. Those days of like, what did you say the other week? Leaving the toilet seat up?
Yeah.
Those days of leaving the toilet seat up are done, man. Like
Yeah.
you got to be the best of the best.
Just to be clear, if you didn't listen to that episode, what I said was, if you see a property with the toilet seat up, it probably sells for less because they did a bad job marketing it. But you got to shut the toilet seat when you take the photos. But even if you do that, it doesn't guarantee a sale anymore, right?
But all those spoiled sellers for the past decade of like, hey, it'll sell in a certain amount of time. It's not going to be the case moving forward. It's going to be tougher. Everything seems to be falling in line. Interest rates are coming down. They always say price declines happen after the first interest rates come down. Probably going to be true.
Yep.
It's going to be an eye opener for sellers over the next little bit. It's also going to be a bunch of buyers wasting their time, but buyers are going to be fickle. Buyers are going to be like, oh yeah, you don't want to replace the broken screen door. I'm out. See ya. And they're going to do that. It's just silly, the way it's the way it's going to be. So I'm trying to impress upon sellers in the market right now. You have gone from competing offers to competing for offers. You have to be the best thing out there. Otherwise, you will simply not sell. If you want to try, I did this video. I really like my, is it a pun? Is it a pun? I don't know if it's a pun. I actually don't know any. Anyway, I said, don't even try and sell your home because it is. It's the old Yoda thing, right? Do or do not.
Right.
Do not try. There is no, maybe if I get this price, I'll sell, because you're not going to get that price right now. You are going to get a price that you are unhappy with, probably. For instance, I have a seller who's like, my neighbor's not going to like this price. And I'm like,
yeah, well, that's the market.
Yeah. Well, do you want to sell or not? And he's like, yeah, I'm selling. Okay.
All right.
So what's happening out in Tommy Toronto's town?
I mean, houses here are still pretty good.
That is alliteration. Tommy Toronto's town. Alliteration.
Like
that one I know.
Like that?
Yeah.
So houses here are still fine. Inventory has built a little bit for the houses, but I got something for sale that we're taking offers on next week, and we've had like 15 showings in the first few days. Like houses are fine. Houses in good areas are fine. That's something I could say for the next 4 years.
Love 15 showings on a listing right now. That ain't happening.
What's interesting is I'm having so many conversations. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Probably in the last 5 days, I've had 10 conversations with condo sellers, and to 7 of them, I've just said, like, don't put it on the market. What you want?
Well, why not? They don't want. Oh, because they want
just
a certain price. And
you
you're like,
want
that's not going to happen.
Does not exist. I would tell you if it did, and I will tell you when it does. But at the moment, it's just, this is not the market to put it on and give it a shot and see what the market. It's just not it. And an interesting thing what did you say you were competing for multiple offers to competing for, what was the line you said?
You're going to, from a seller's point of view, competing offers to competing for offers.
Okay, there we go. So that's great. If you're in the real estate industry, write that down.
Trademark.
Yeah. The conversation I've been having with people now, specifically condo sellers, is, previously people would meet with us and they would hire our team because I could show them based on the data that I would sell your property for more money than the average realtor. Mm-hmm. Now people are hiring me simply because I can sell it, period. Mm-hmm. That's why you're hiring me, because anyone can list your property. I can sell it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
The value in a real estate agent right now in this market is going to be to explain to the seller why the market isn't where it was. So you're going to have a bunch of folks that, and I understand I'm getting a little bit funny with like, the newbies and they haven't gone through this type of market before.
Yeah.
But there is a bunch of folks that are going to be like, hey, I think you should hold off, which may or may not be the right decision for the client. But they're also going to be like, hey, let's wait until we get this price. They're not going to know how to educate their clients on where real market value is going. And in my market, prices will be declining for the foreseeable future just because of the amount of inventory.
If this inventory holds for several months in a row, you will see declines.
Oh, totally. You will. But what people don't understand about price declines is they are usually stickier than increases.
Right.
Because sellers often don't actually have to sell. So you may have some sales that are low, but the general population wants to move and doesn't have to move. So prices will stay stickier on the upside. And then because the motivation to purchase a home is usually more motivating than the motivation to sell a home. So that's why prices can go up faster than they come down a lot of the time, even with economic conditions.
I know I've been saying this a lot, but even in all my recent conversations and one with a recent seller the other day when I reached out about, I think, it's time to adjust our price. We're not going to sell this month. This was on a condo. Still the feedback I've got, and like, obviously people aren't listening to this, right? These people that are talking to me, but they're like, well, interest rates are going down. Like, when's the market going to pick up? And there's still this gap. There's still this very, very big gap. And like, I know I keep bringing this up, but like, really, we forget sometimes that like people don't fully understand when Bank of Canada does something, what it actually means.
So what are you saying to those folks that are uneducated about?
Oh, I'm just from a very ground level of like, if I was explaining this to someone that had no idea what was going on, is, when Bank of Canada decreases the rates, that's just the variable rate, right? And the Bank of Canada rate that you see, that's the lending rate that they're lending money to the banks. That's not the rate that you can get, which again, this is all obvious to us. And that what I've noticed so far, at least in the last 18 months, pretty much every buyer that we've worked with has taken a fixed rate. Fixed rates are currently here at 5 and a little bit, or high 4s, depending on how much money you're putting down. And the variable rate's here. So for the variable rate to even touch the fixed rate, we'd have to have 4 more cuts this year, which probably is not going to happen. And just trying to explain to them that,
I'm starting to lean towards.
Well, okay, but last month inflation ticked up a little bit again.
The inflation chart. You like that inflation chart I put in there?
Yeah, it was very fancy of you putting in that inflation chart. So what? It's 2.9. The last report that came out.
Up from 2.7. I mean, I don't know. That month to month doesn't matter at all. I don't think so. The downward trend is definitely there. The downward trend is there from, the peak in 22.
Didn't Rowan say what he was waiting for was the September numbers? Like, he's like, that's the month that inflation's really going to show what's going on.
Yeah, because of the rollover after the last increase. So that is the case. So let's say, for instance, it's still 20, 30, 40% is shelter costs.
Yeah.
Then when that resets to 0 and has now even declined, what does that look like? Are we in negative 20?
No.
Are we?
No, but if you take out the shelter cost, inflation's been under 2 for a long time. We've known this. So if that rollover happens, like, it is possible, I guess, that we could come in with inflation at like 1 point something. Like, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I don't know.
It is, though. So then what do we have? We have just the investors aren't buying the crap units that you and I hate.
They're certainly not.
Probably not. Yeah, and we don't have first-time buyers.
Where did they go, Stephen? Where are the first-time home buyers?
Well, if it's not good, then they're going to back out. I mean, I'm starting to see what I think are reasonable priced, $425 one-bed condos again. So it's like, okay, so there's affordable-ish living coming back. So without those two pushes, though, the rest of the market doesn't fuel, and that's, I think, what you're seeing. I think you're seeing the rest of. So then, interrupt me, Tom. Go for it. Sure.
Is the Canadian housing market a pyramid scheme?
Everything is a pyramid scheme. There's a clip for the beginning of the show. No, but
okay,
you
let's
have to fuel new people buying in the market for anything. If you don't
that
have
starts the bottom
newcomers
of the pyramid. So
yeah, but people die off the top of the pyramid. So I mean, it's not just like they stay there forever and it's just.
But where does the money go
bigger.
when they die off the top? Well, the government gets their taxes, then it goes to the kids who take the inheritance and sell the house, and then that funds the bottom of the market again for the next generation, right? It's this ongoing thing that's happening, but currently that bottom end of the market, which used to be investors and first-time home buyers, is just percentage-wise much lower. Someone commented on one of my videos, like, I have to steal that from you. They said the only buyers in the market now are last-time home buyers. I'm like, that's really good.
Get out of here.
Okay, but can I walk you through this and try to poke holes in this?
Hang on. I just want to say, though, that like with all these listings that are on the market, that means there are people that want to move.
Yeah.
So now you have to have people that want to buy, and they're going to. So all of my listings, they're people that, I mean, they don't plan on just cashing out.
They're going somewhere else. Are they
They're
downsizing
going somewhere?
mostly?
They're going to buy something. I've got downsizers. I've got retirees. I've got everybody. I've got people moving for lifestyle. I've got I got so many listings on my Realty Ninja website right now that there are just a ton of people in all sorts of situations. So I will say that I'm being extremely now selective because I do have some listings where if I knew when I took them what I know now, I may not have taken them just because of motivation and their chances of selling. The sellers just aren't interested in a real sell price. But now there are other people who absolutely have a need and they will sell. They will sell.
All right.
Get into it. Sorry to cut you off.
If your clients buy a house for $2 million, tell me just where you think, what did they own previous to that? What did they sell to buy that? And how long did they own the last property?
What do I have to do to get a client that'll buy a $2 million
okay.
house?
Hypothetically then, if someone buys a house for $2 million, let me ask you this. Are they a first-time home buyer with a $500,000 yearly salary?
So I have a listing coming up that will be near that price point.
Okay. And who do you think the buyer is going to be?
I believe 50% or more chance it will be a buyer that is a family, that is a Canadian family, not new to Canada family, but longtime Canadian family. And I believe the in-laws will be living in the home in the basement.
And you saying a Canadian family because of the area it's located in?
Yes.
Just culturally,
because of the area it's located in, the style of home that it is. I mean, you can nail down pretty quickly who you think your buyer is going to be, right? And you actually do have to identify that with your clients when you bring a property to market, because let's try and do this as gingerly as I can. A home buyer in Brampton might be different than a home buyer in Markham, right? So that's something you have to consider when you're bringing the home to market. And this one in particular at that price point is probably going to be a multi-generational Canadian family, I would imagine.
And what are they selling to buy that house?
This episode is brought to you by Realty Ninja. Real estate agents, listen up. Realty Ninja has created over 9,000 Canadian real estate websites, and they are no joke. I've been using Realty Ninja in my business since they were a small little startup in North Vancouver. Tiny, dusty little office with old leather couch and all. But look at the ninjas now. Realty Ninja is the go-to platform for real estate agents in Canada. Websites are no longer a nice to have. They are a must. Your clients expect you to feature their listings in the best light possible. They expect you to go with Realty Ninja. The backbone of my real estate business is my website. I wouldn't pick any other company to host my website other than Realty Ninja. Don't believe me? Go to my website. Check it out right now. Go to krproperties.ca and you will see that it's powered by Realty Ninja and has been for over a decade. They have all of the features I need to grow my business year after year, including lead capture, mobile-friendly design, built-in SEO, and so much more. The best part of Realty Ninja is it's totally free to sign up, no credit card is required, and you only pay when you are ready to launch your new Realty Ninja website. And no, that's not it. Sign up today at realtyninja.com/Tom and you will receive 20%, yes, 20% off of your entire first year when using Realty Ninja to host your real estate website. Their templates are super easy to work with yourself, or you can have the ninjas design something for you like I did. Not only is Realty Ninja the best product on the market, but it's also affordable. Listeners of this show know that I am as cheap as they come, and I've been using Realty Ninja for well over a decade now. Start your free trial today, and when you launch, save 20% using our link in the description below. And let Realty Ninja help you take your real estate business to the next level. And now, back to the podcast.
Like, what house do they
That's
have that they sold to buy that?
So the parents are probably selling something they've been in for a long time. And the kids that are going to live upstairs with their kids are probably selling a townhouse.
Okay.
So they're likely shacking up. They're probably 2 for 1, which is why we have more listings maybe than there you go. That could be
there
it.
You go.
Everybody's
2 listings only created 1 buy.
1 buyer.
Yeah.
Hey,
there you go. We figured it out. We figured it out.
We have finally solved.
Right. But so now let's just quickly, okay. That's a specific situation. Let's talk about this like normally though. A $2 million house sells to probably a dual income couple family that has already, they're selling their house for like, let's say 1.3 to 1.5 because they've outgrown it with their kids. Maybe the third kid is on the way.
If I had to guess, the down payment will be like 1.2.
So because they've probably owned that previous house for 5 to 10 years and it's full of equity. Their incomes have gone up
from the parents too
over that period of time. Yeah. So all these situations, and then you keep going down that ladder though, right? So it's like, who buys their house? Well, probably the person that had the townhouse. Well, who buys the townhouse? Well, the person that was in the 1-bedroom condo. And now we're at the bottom rung of, you get whatever, right? But you get what I'm saying. Now we're at the bottom here. Well, who buys that condo? Well, I'll tell you who it was in 2020 or 2021. It was Steve. Steve was the investor that bought that condo. Okay, because the numbers made sense to you, right? Financially, it was like, okay, this is a sound decision, and it's worked very well for you since you purchased it. Very well.
Very happy.
Okay, I told you to do that, by the way, just for the record.
You did. You and Darren.
Okay, well, I didn't think Darren was going to get credit, too. We got to get Darren on this show.
He's in my market. I don't want him on. That guy sucks. He's my realtor. I don't want to use him.
Okay, so in the bottom rung of the market, well, if no one's buying that $500,000, $425,000 condo, at some point, that's like when you're riding your bike and someone throws the stick in the middle of it and you go, oh, and you fall off your bike. At some point, that breaks the current way that the real estate system works in Canada, which many have looked at as a pyramid-like system, because then money just fuels in the bottom. And then we do things to get more people in the bottom to then make the system continue to work. And then we just get to fund the boomers' retirement by buying that $2 million house that they just sold to downsize for whatever reason. I mean, there's some solid points in that.
Every rung of the property ladder is so much more expensive.
Well, that's what's starting to happen. Yes.
So what I'm seeing is, I'm even seeing then those people have to take multiple steps. So I have a guy that would go from he's in a very, very small property right now, and he would likely go to something much more livable, except he's going to take up not to a very, very small property, but he's going the one next step up. So like you should normally, for instance, if you're going from a 1-bed condo, hopefully you can buy a 2-bed townhome. But now those people are going from a 1-bed condo to a 2-bed condo, or a 1-bed condo to a 1-bed and den condo.
Yeah,
because smaller. Because it's so expensive, right? But
the property ladder used to work. It used to work. It doesn't work. Well, in Toronto, it hasn't for the last 5 years for people that bought condos 5 years ago, because everything else has gone up in price and theirs has stayed the same.
But no.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. No. Let's talk about this, though, because they are...
This is what happens when we don't have a guest on the show to
yes,
keep us in order.
No, that's our argument. Okay, so if they bought a pre-sale condo, that has not gone up at all. But they also have not yet paid for their...
I'm not talking about
equity.
Pre-sale. That's a whole different...
Okay, but let's say somebody
somebody
did buy March 2019. Yes,
they might be okay if they bought March 2019.
Okay, so let's say they bought. That's 5 years ago, whatever, June. Let's say July. What are we in July? July. Let's say July 2019. Okay, so there may not be a ton of price growth, but what is their equity pay down? There should be enough equity to start moving on. The problem is the cost of the next borrowing is the real troublesome part. But it's not just growth. There is equity pay down as well. So
they haven't started the equity pay down, though, if it hasn't registered as a condo. Like they've been forced to put down their 20% because you had to buy new construction.
No. But pre-sale condos, man, that's all. Grab the dice, roll that thing. Let's see what's going on. That's a casino. That is not real estate investing. It is a casino. It's not really.
It was a casino that a lot of people hit red on a huge bet and made a lot of money for a lot of years up until, in my opinion, like 2017.
Okay. But it's all like the same thing happened here. Now it's happening here again. There's a whole lot of people that are coming out of the woodwork right now. Tom, I know you know this, that are like, I should have listened to you a few years ago.
I got some pre-con stories. Do you want me to get into that? I got a few, actually. A few. I got three. This is big for me, having 3 stories on one episode.
Pre-con? We should have had Jordan on.
I actually called Jordan yesterday on something because I had a call from a past client that bought a pre-con.
He disconnected his number and
I just called Jordan. I was like, "Are these ones selling on assignment?" He's like, "Not really." I'm like, "All right, you guys good?" Yes. Okay. Bye. Anyways, okay. So I was in a. I'm not gonna say where I was because as I've learned with this podcast, we kind of forget sometimes that people actually listen to us. And that it's not just us talking and recording and it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm not going to say location or situation because there's just too many people around me that I think kind of quietly listen, but don't tell me. I was in a public space. I was not. I was in Toronto.
Okay. It was in Toronto. Okay.
I was in a public space. I was in a public space and I was overhearing a conversation beside me. Okay. And it was a service provider and the person getting the service, okay? And whatever that could be. So let's just make up a situation. Let's say it's someone getting served at lunch, okay?
Massage parlor.
Doesn't No. And they're like, so I'm just kind of sitting there waiting, just minding my own business. But when your conversation starts beside you and you're like, they bring up something you're interested in, you kind of like, you're listening, right? Like I was fully involved in this conversation without actually being in it. And they're talking about how her and her boyfriend bought this condo in Vaughan in I don't know what year. And like they must have paid $1,300 a square foot or something wild. And she was talking to the person that she was servicing and she was basically saying like, oh yeah, no, we just bought it as an investment. It's just a safer place to put our money. And like, yeah, we'll just sell it before it closes. And I wanted to like look at her and grab her and shake her and be like, what did you buy in? What year did you do this? Like, that's probably worth 200 grand less than you paid for it. Like your money's gone, but just absolutely no idea. And so nonchalant about it. Like, oh, just a good place to put our money. And like, we never intended on moving in and we're just going to sell it and make a profit. And I'm like, no, you're going to sell to someone else. You're going to have to pitch in 100 grand just so the new buyer can close on it. If you try to sell that thing before closing.
Test to buy real estate.
Like a driver's license?
Exam? It doesn't have to be a big test. It could be like a 40-page booklet with big pictures and just with lots of down arrows and up arrows in the pictures and like just some minimum because it is such like you can just buy it right now. Like think about buying a car. I could walk in and buy a $170,000 Corvette today if I wanted to.
Do you think if you walked in and did that, do you think the salesperson would try to stop you?
No. Not a chance. They would encourage me. They'd be like, "Are you sure you don't want the upgrade on the $170,000 Corvette?" They would do whatever it took.
So are all salespeople bad, or is it just realtors? Just to be clear.
No, their job is to sell their product. It's okay. I was actually having this conversation yesterday. What happened to buyer beware? What happened to that? Our whole society, our whole marketplace, our whole capitalistic society, which obviously is in the freaking gutter right now. What happened to know what you're signing and don't be an idiot? It's gone. Now you can just be like, well, they need to protect me. I don't know why. I don't know what happened.
When do you think that
they
changed?
said it was good investment. I said it was good investment. I don't know. Whenever we started,
when people stopped making a lot of money on everything they were investing in and actually started losing money, that's when it changed to, well, I should have been told.
I don't know. When have you ever walked into anything anywhere and been told you actually probably shouldn't do this? Right? Like those people are there to move things forward. They're there to sell things. It could be anything, right? It could be GameStop. You know what? I know you really want this PS5, but Tom, I'm going to tell you, you're going to waste your life and you're going to be gaming. You're going to be playing FIFA every 7 minutes. I don't want you to do that anymore. I actually don't think you should buy this PS5. Of course not. It's the same with everything. But when does the person click in and go, you know what? Maybe I should be an adult and stop gaming. They're not going to do that. So this is what we end up with. Buyer beware. I think anybody making those silly decisions should be held liable. And I think also the developers, if the buyer defaults, you should have qualified your buyer first. Find out if they could even make good on this contract.
In our market, you do have to give pre-qualification letters when you buy pre-con. You can't just I know what you're. Yeah, sure, people. Yeah,
but I can use that same pre-qualification letter to buy 16 units at 16 different sales centers. So what are you going to do? Get out of here. More people should listen to this show and get good information and review our.
Well, I'm happy that that's the one thing that I've held my ground on for a long period of time, telling people not to do unless it absolutely makes sense. And the numbers are kind of proving to what I was saying. And then as I was walking back to my office from the situation I was just at, I overheard this other group of people. Is one guy's like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this. And they have a rent back guarantee for the first 3 years. So it's going to be a great investment. I wanted to stop him and be like, do you know why they're offering that? Because they're having problems selling. They're only offering that as an incentive because they're not selling. There's a reason why they're offering that.
The commission bonus emails I'm getting from developers right now are unreal. They're unreal.
I'm
like
getting,
$10,000 to $30,000.
Crazy. I'm getting emails from pre-con projects that are not even close to my market. Of course, we were all getting the Calgary emails for a while, but I'm getting stuff that's like hours and hours away. I'm like, you think I would recommend this to my client? So
come on, let's do a pre-sale in Thunder Bay.
Final pre-con story. There's a very good chance this person listens to the show, so obviously I'm not going to leave in names or anything, but someone emailed me out of nowhere in March of 2022 and basically just said, hey, Tom, I'm looking at buying at this project. This is the price. This is the square footage. What would you recommend? And I responded back a few hours later.
Run away.
I said, no, I literally said, I'm sure this will be a great building and good project. However, it's very hard for me to recommend ever spending $1,600 a square foot on pre-construction when you could buy right now. Remember, this was March of 22, when you could right now buy an amazing resale condo for $1,100 to $1,200 a square foot in the exact same area. That person never responded to my email. Never heard back from them. It was just I didn't even know who they were. They just randomly emailed me. They emailed me back 2 days ago and just said, I should have listened to you, ...
It's the emails I get all the time from everyone. They should have listened to me.
No, that's not.
But
I didn't have any moment of told you so. I was like, oh shit, I feel really bad for this person because
man. You got to start doing the I told you so stuff.
I don't know. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not ever going to become somebody that takes pleasure in other people's downfalls, even if I recommended something different. That's just not my style.
I wouldn't say I take pleasure in it. I'm just saying
$1,600 a square foot in a, like, I don't know, man.
Do you know what the term ask hole means?
You ask too many questions? Is that what it
No,
is?
an ask hole. An ask hole that's ASK.
Yeah, I got
hole.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
An ask hole is someone who asks you for your advice all of the time and then never takes it.
Yeah, I got a few of those people.
I have a lot of those people. And some of them are clients and some of them have been friends in the past. And here's the thing. It's a lot easier to learn from someone else's mistakes than making them yourself. But most people don't learn that way. And so they have to screw it up. They just don't want to believe that they could make, that somebody else might know more than them and that they should take their advice. Especially when they're hyped up about something like trying to win the pre-con lottery. So I don't know. People should listen to us more often.
But do you have clients that have effectively gone up the property ladder where you've got them into their first property,
Sure.
you've then helped them sell that property? So that's a fairly normal thing for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So same, like that's been our business. So we've helped first-time home buyers sell their condo, buy their first home, and then sometimes the parents are involved, and then we help the parents downsize, and then we help them sell that first home to the second family home or something like that. Like that's been a pretty natural thing for us. But I couldn't believe the feedback I was getting in a video that I put out saying like, I don't know anyone that's done that. I'm like, I did it. And literally hundreds of our clients have done it. And then the next response was like, well, yeah, but you did it when prices were cheap.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've heard that one before for 50 years.
But
nobody told me,
also,
Steve, when I bought my first condo that I got a great deal on it or that it was cheap. They said, you spent how much?
Yeah, same. On all of mine, actually. So it is the case, but it's also too short of a window, right? Like once you're in for 4 years, then it's almost clockwork. People almost clockwork phone me at the 4-year mark. So they have a 5-year fixed rate, but at 4 years, they phone me and they go, okay, we're thinking about doing something. Because in 4 years, you've probably met someone. You've probably, if you've already were with someone, you've probably maybe are having a kid or got married or changed your job. Something can happen in a 4-year period. In a 2-year period, it's not going to happen. I just had a client the other day that got into his first place, first-time buyer. Dad had to help, and he got into this great place. And I just said to him, listen, turn off the podcast. Turn off the videos.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention for the next 4 years. Go focus on your business. Go whatever you're going to do. Relationships, experiences, work hard, all that stuff. Don't pay attention until you feel like this isn't enough space for you anymore. Then come back, and by that time, you will be ready to move on to the next place. Simple as that.
That was
people
always,
don't like that. I don't say, did I just say don't watch our show anymore? I think
that's what Gary Vee used to always say. I haven't actually consumed his content in probably 5 years, but for a while I was like, okay, I like this guy's style. And his whole thing was like, I want you to stop watching me. I want to give you motivation to go do the thing you need to do and then go focus on that. Stop watching me. So kind of the same mindset. So you said your market's at 7,500 listings. A good healthy market for you is 6,000. So we've surpassed that now. In the crazy times, how low did it get? In the peak, were you at like 2,000 listings? Like how low did it get?
I want to say at one point it may have been as low as like 13 or 1,800 listings.
Okay.
With like, there was 1 month where there was like 168 consumption rate or something. So like everything sold that month plus the month before.
Sold. Yeah.
Right. So it's approaching highs, but I've also seen 12,000 active listings on the market in 2010. So it's not like it's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we ever dropped in my career, we ever dropped below 3.5 months of supply in, I want to say it was end of 2014, beginning of 2015. And the office was like, we back in those days, you had an office meeting and you would have 50, 60 agents there. And everyone their mind was blown. We got $20,000 over the asking price. You wouldn't believe it. We had 3 offers, and everybody was like, their minds were blown. And that was before 2016.
And now you're like, we only got 3 offers. What's wrong with the market?
Well, right now we're only getting
3 showings.
We have more listings than showings in a given week right now.
Real estate agents across Ontario are using TRESA video to increase trust and transparency with their clients. And now for a limited time, you can get your own custom branded video totally for free. It's simple, and here's how it works. Simply refer your broker of record to tresavideo.ca, and when they purchase the broker version for your entire office, tell them to enter the promo code SUMMER at checkout. That's right. Refer tresavideo.ca to your broker of record and get your own custom branded individual or team video totally for free. Refer TRESA Video to your broker of record and they will love you for helping them provide value to their agents. Your coworkers will also love you because now they'll get use of TRESA Video for their business, and you will love receiving your very own custom branded TRESA Video totally for free. So tell the powers that be at your office to go to tresavideo.ca and enter the promo code SUMMER at checkout. This offer is valid once per brokerage purchase and for a limited time.
You're listing more properties per week or actively? Okay.
We have more listings on the market than we do total showings for all of the listings. So there is your doom and gloom.
So
for
as of right now for Toronto, because I know that's where all of our listeners live, and that's the only place that exists in Canada for real estate.
Well, congratulations to Edmonton on their win, by the way.
I feel so bad.
Stanley Cup champions.
They deserved it. They deserved it. And
Stanley Cup champions, first ever in 9 games.
I don't care what anyone says. Florida doesn't deserve it like Edmonton deserved it. It's not even close. It's not even close.
I'm so happy Edmonton didn't win.
Here's my beef now. You know, over the last few years, Tampa won it a few times in a row. Florida's been in the Cup finals last 2 years. Both of those places have no state income tax, I believe. So they can get players at cheaper contracts because the taxes aren't so bad. Probably a conversation for another day. Bunch of crap.
There you go.
Yeah.
The NDP and liberal governments are making us not win hockey Stanley Cup.
You know what? Honestly, you could make
Trudeau's
a
fault.
pretty good... That's like a valid argument. I'm not even joking. It's a very valid argument. You look at the contracts, like Stamkos signed $9.5 million, however many years back in Tampa. If that was a Toronto contract, it would have had to have been at least 11, if not more, to net the same amount of money. Okay. Anyways,
probably why Vegas won too. No state income tax.
This is, you know what?
We're on to something. BC, cut that state income tax next year. Canucks Cup.
There you go. Canucks. Well, hey, isn't it nice to know that your team lost to the team that got to Game 7? No.
No.
I used to like it where the Leafs had a run going for a while where whoever they would lose to in the first round would at least make it to the Cup final. Even teams that shouldn't have, like the year that Montreal made it. And okay, so right now we have over 20,000 active listings in the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. However, everyone gets this confused. That doesn't mean the City of Toronto. The City of Toronto has just about 10,000 of those active listings. So about half of the total numbers.
Is that too many?
So what's that?
Is that too many or not enough? Or what is it?
It's a lot. It's a lot. Now, a lot of them are condos. So most of our active inventory that is on the market is condos percentage-wise. I've always thought to myself that if we get to 25,000, that's when things, depending on where the bulk of the inventory is, if we get to 25,000 listings, that's going to be the push down on prices. And I like looking at stuff in the past. So I went back and I looked at this month in 2008, and there was 27,000 active listings.
Yeah. Okay. So next time, look at 2009, because May 2008, I mean, that was a lot of glut of listings, but you didn't actually have the financial crisis until a year later.
Okay.
6 months later. But I mean, that's actually the same thing with us too. So there was a glut of listings that came on before the actual financial crisis happened.
So hold on, let me pull this up. 2009. Let's do July of
Ours topped
2009.
out in 10. I think we topped out at 12,000 listings in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it is nice. You go out there, you think about this property. Oh, that property is still available. Can we look at that property? It is nice for buyers. They're just too spoiled now to know. They're the other side of spoiled.
Oh, that's crazy. July 2009 only had 16,000 active listings, but in July 2008, there was 26,000.
Wow. So they all came off.
So they all came off for whatever reason over that period of time.
Huh.
So 2008 was the peak, I believe, for listing inventory. Now, the difference between then and now, obviously both times had a real uncertainty, across Canada, is that then in 2008, 2009, 60% of the listings weren't condos. It was probably like 10 to 15% because the boom had started, but it wasn't anywhere near what it's like today.
Is there anything we can do to get rid of these like crappy, like, can we stop building this stuff? Or is it just, it's too expensive to build?
What else are we going to build?
Well, I was thinking about like affordable housing and I'm like, I mean, I don't think high rises in downtown Toronto are the solution to most of Canada's housing issues. I think you need low to mid rise in the suburbs to really get more. Like, I think that so they can come to market faster. You've got bungalows everywhere. You can tear all those down. You can put in a 5 or 6 story wood frame apartment building and, it can be ready in 2 years, not 7 years or whatever. But then I'm also thinking like,
but Steve,
do we need?
I don't want an apartment building to be built beside my house.
Yeah, beat it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you want. Do what you want with your property. I'll do what I want with my property. Like most of my neighbors that don't cut their grass anymore. I wish I could fix that, but I can't.
Why don't you just go cut their grass for them?
But with my sore shoulder, my neighbor came over and cut my grass the other day. It was very nice of him.
There you
go. But what I'm thinking is like, okay, can we not build things that are more affordable though? So first of all, wood frame can happen faster. It's not going to be as dense, but it's going to be a much better solution. But then can we not build things like, why do we need a 2-bed, 2-bath? Why can't we start building some 1-bed, 1-baths, 2-bed, 1-baths, 3-bed, 1-baths? And then people can cut down on, I mean, it's obviously not going to drop the land price, but it's going to cut down on construction price. It's also going to cut down on wasted square footage.
I don't
like.
I wouldn't say
the
a second
fact that we
bathroom
have
is
to
wasted
have 2
square
baths
footage.
now. Yeah, I have to have 2 bathrooms. Okay, then here's your expensive housing. Like what? Like there's a lot of
taking out
folks.
A bathroom really changes the construction cost that much.
I think it would. I think it would. If you take how many units are you going to build? 400 bathrooms.
Could you live in a house with 1 bathroom?
I'm not bitching about affordable housing. Right?
Do you think a family like yours, you think you could live in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment?
Sure, not too much spicy food and you're good. But it's you absolutely could. For many, many years, lots of families grew up and had one
Are standards
toilet
too
in the
high?
house. Yes, that's what I think. I think all the amenities should be tossed. I don't think there should be no restriction, wrong word. No, help me out, Tom.
Where are you going?
No obligation for a developer to put in any gyms, any amenities, any swimming pools, any grounds for, you know what? We are not in a public space housing crisis. We are not in a park crisis right now. Okay. We are in a housing crisis. So let's think about what we can do in order to get that. Obviously, nobody's going to buy those. But
that's the thing. Who would buy them?
People that are bitching about affordable housing.
But people, if they don't sell, they don't get built.
It's easier. It's also more. So here's another argument for low rise. Much, much, much more low rise. It's easier to get an end user in.
Where are we at on investors? Are investors good or bad?
Investors are the lifeblood of the real estate. They support 30% of the people that choose to rent or can't afford to buy.
But if we took the investors out, could more of that 30% afford to buy?
I made that shirt. Make
What,
renting illegal.
hug
Stop
an
supporting
investor?
landlords.
Yeah.
No, make renting illegal.
There was
You can't do it.
a huge
Obviously,
rent
that's-
strike in Toronto the other day.
Yeah.
It do you know what they were standing outside a building in downtown.
Mhm.
It was owned by actually a developer I'm aware of, and they were holding dead mice in their hands and throwing them, and then they had someone in a massive rat costume. If I was in that situation and they increased my rent and my living standards were terrible, I'd be pissed off as well.
Yeah, sure. So how about this? How about the city goes evict them all, tear down that building, build a new one?
And where are they going to go?
You can't live in that.
I guess the argument could be made, well, if you don't like your situation, you can move, but I guess moving to something new would cost them it would be even more expensive in rent.
Than their rent increase.
That it's worth
so the rent strike.
Yeah.
The article you sent me was like they increased too much. But the reason they increased too much is because they were doing repairs so that the property didn't fall down around them. And you can increase more if there's certain repairs being done. So then they just said, well, we're not going to pay at all. And it's like, okay, well, now you're doing. So I could understand the argument of saying, listen, I don't believe the rent increase you gave me is legit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to continue paying the old rent and I will dispute the new rent. And when we get through mediation, we'll discover what happens, whether or not you can charge me the new rent. But that's not what they've done. They've gone, we're not going to pay you any rent. So now they're stealing their rent. And it did point out in that article, it is theft, Tom. They did point out.
I didn't even say anything.
Article,
what do you mean it is theft? I didn't say a word.
You gave me one of those little young millennial side eyes. But
if you want to get a point across, though, you have to do the extremes. I'm not saying I support not paying your rent.
Everybody in that is doing that rent strike, it's not like they just, once the resolution gets done, that they don't owe that backed rent. They are mandatory. They are supposed to save it, and then when the resolution is fixed, they still owe that rent, if not with interest, which might be higher, to the landlord. Yes, there can be bad landlords. Yes, there might be terrible situations. Yes, there's going to be decrepit buildings. You put in rent control, you're going to have decrepit buildings. Which one is it you want? I don't want to have to pay for my own housing at market rates. Great. I feel like this is Donald Trump's hand right in front of me right now.
Rent control caused all these issues, and we know it. It's been very clear. I'm glad that we had Max on the show to actually say all the things we've been thinking in maybe a more articulate way. Coming from the rentals.ca world, rent control has caused all these issues, but it's hard to have an opinion calling them thieves if you haven't lived in that terrible situation where there's rats in your freaking apartment and then they raise your rent and maybe you're just getting by. Like, I know you understand what I'm saying. Political views in terms of business and taxes are sometimes different than social views based on they're human beings.
Yeah, but human beings don't just get a free ride. So you have to put yourself in a position where, here's the thing. We are now in a society that has chosen over the last many years to try and get a free ride, and look where it's got us. It's got us inflation. It's got us poor living standards. It's got us in an area. Yeah. So until we take responsibility for ourselves, it's just not going to be an issue. You remember last episode I said I want to do our favorite quotes? That's because I heard a quote from a guy who is a brain coach. Now, I don't know what the qualifications for a brain coach are, and he might have been lying.
I'm a brain coach too.
Apparently, he's worked with Elon Musk and Oprah, which I don't think are on the same brain levels, but that's okay. Oprah's obviously a lot smarter.
Yeah. I was wondering where you're going with that.
And his quote was, he's like, listen, this is what you have to remember all of the time. You have to keep this front of mind. You can't get angry for the results you don't have for the work you didn't do. That's it. So he's like, we now have a bunch of people that are angry at 27 years old that they can't afford anything that a 65-year-old has. It's a stupid thought. It's an absolutely stupid thought to be mad at a situation like that. Now, is it frustrating day to day? Absolutely. Are those people living? The landlord might be an absolute piece of crap. But just because you're a renter and somebody else owns the property you live in doesn't mean they owe you a living and you're allowed to stay there for free. Doesn't. This is actually the issue I find a lot of the time. Maybe when you do rent, maybe the pest control shouldn't be on the landlord. Maybe it should be on the person that doesn't want pests in their unit. I mean, I don't know if that's the right solution, but it's not a hotel. So
I think we're just so far deep in this. It's so, our markets are so deep that I just don't see things really getting better for the average person. I just
no, it's not going to get better for the average person
even
until we take responsibility for ourselves.
I was trying to think what could we do for first-time home buyers to give them a little bit more juice to enter the market.
Mm.
And it was okay, 30-year AM on resale properties. Again, I understand why people push back about this. It's well, that's just going to push it down for sure, right? Bring the stress test down to 1 basis point higher instead of 2. These are my ideas in a video I put out, and people did not like them. And my third one was with new developments, instead of the city jacking up the development fees every freaking year, instead of doing that, just say which are insane. Yeah. Instead of doing that, just make it a thing with the developers that you have to sell 20% of the building to first-time home buyers, and you're going to allow them to buy with 10 to 15% down instead of the mandatory 20 for these new construction buildings.
18 years away before the building's built, though.
I'm just saying, okay, what are your solutions? Everyone's saying, oh, I don't like that. Because basically all three of these solutions is not actually what I think is going to help the overall market. All I'm saying is would actually help first-time home buyers, which fuels that bottom end of the pyramid we've been talking about. No one's given me other solutions. They just said those are not good. It just fuels the market more. I know it fuels the market more. I totally understand that. Yeah. What else do we do? Do we just put up our hands and go all right, I'm just going to rent for the rest of my life, or I'm going to move to another market? Is that no? Those are the only solutions left?
You teach your children to be responsible and stop looking for handouts. Steve, it's a multi-generational problem now. No. This is it. Quote number 2. Write it down, Tom Storey. My grandfather had a quote, and this is I never remember him saying it to me, but apparently he said it to my dad quite a bit when he was growing up. That quote is, "You are your own reward." So whenever I see someone in any situation, whether it be the top of the pyramid and crushing it, or people that are assholes, that's a good callback. Whatever I do, I look at them and I just say, yeah, man, that's you. You did that.
Right.
That's what you got. So you are your own reward. When you're sitting there and complaining about not having a detached home at 27 years old and I don't have a chance to make 150 grand a year. Yes, correct. You have not yet earned that. But you are your own reward. You are in a shit condition because you have a shit mindset.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So I'm not going to push back on the general theme there.
Because you're a fence sitter, according to the reviews.
No, Cody, I don't know why. Why'd you have to put that in the review? The rest of you was glowing.
Cody, you have the second best episode here. You are the best.
We got to get you back. You can say whatever you want. I actually, you know what, Steve? I don't have an opinion on that. Well, I got a good laugh at you.
Terrible. That was a little girly laugh there. Yeah. Terrible reviews. I looked up our reviews the other day, Tom. This one says audio quality on this is too painful to listen. Another one says it used to be good. Now it's annoying and gross. That's interesting. How about this one? A podcast where the host asks, "What's going on here?" Oh, here's a 5-star review. Good stuff, guys. TK is a font of information. Appreciate it. Oh, wait a minute.
Wait a second. That's not our reviews.
No, I typed in Canadian real estate show reviews.
Oh, Steven, you've made a great mistake.
What is this?
That is not our reviews.
What do you mean? We're the
That's
Canadian real estate show. We're the only podcast.
That's the act that follows us sometimes on Sundays, depending on when they post. That's not us.
Oh, I thought that show didn't know when they. I thought that show folded.
No, they're still going. They're still going.
Really?
Yeah.
I looked. I was there like 4 o'clock on Sundays. Didn't see them.
On Spotify.
On YouTube. I was there 4 o'clock Sundays. Didn't go. So I'm on Spotify now. Our Spotify's taking off, by the way.
Spotify is doing well.
Are you suggesting there's another real estate? I mean, there's a Canadian real estate home front. I saw those guys.
Yeah, they've been on our show, Steve. They were here not that long ago.
Yeah, I know. They're there.
They were below us.
And then there's the Canadian real
screen.
estate investor. I don't know. They're the only shows I know about. I don't know what you're talking about.
We've had Foch on the show, and hey, maybe we'll have Nick on the show one day soon too.
Maybe. Well, write a 5-star review for us and go read our last one from Cody because it's the best one ever written. And I'm pretty sure there was another one written that I couldn't find the other day. That was one of our first ones written, and it was even better.
Okay. Final thing I want to bring up. We talked about this kind of jokingly, is like that if all your equity, if all your net worth is in your house, you're actually house rich instead of house poor, which is a term that people talk about. Like, I don't want to buy a house bigger than I need. So all my payments just go to that house, and I don't have any fun things I can do over here. And we were talking about this, and I was like, Steve, I bet you think being house poor is a good thing because it forces you to make your payments with that, which then eventually makes you house rich, and then sets you up for retirement at the top of that pyramid that the next sucker can buy your house and then trade down.
I think most people don't have I would agree with you. Most people don't have the discipline to invest otherwise. So they should buy real estate, and being house poor will actually make them successful when they do need to retire. It'll be a slog of a 35, 40 year work time, but pay the mortgage down, own a property mortgage free by the end. Being house poor is not necessarily a bad thing because people spend money on all sorts of stupid crap otherwise.
Yeah. We're not talking about buying groceries and things like that. We're talking about like all the other things that people spend money on.
So I have seen some financials recently for a few clients that are like, these interest rates, they'll probably get us in a couple of years. We probably want to think about doing stuff. I am shocked at the amount of debt certain people carry that is not tied to their property.
Right. That's one thing I can proudly say. I don't have any debt other than mortgages.
Credit cards are the debt. If we cared about our affordable housing, we would outlaw credit cards. Period. There would be no credit cards. You would buy everything cash, and everyone would have way more money as a result. It is most common that I see when working with the mortgage brokers. And they'll be like, yeah, they want to clear off this debt, that. It's very, very, very common to see $15,000 to $50,000 on credit cards at 20%.
Sheesh.
If you're doing that, you have issues. You don't know how money works.
How am I going to get into the lounge at the airport if I don't have an Amex?
Exactly. How am I going to go to Disneyland again next year? It's tough, man. It's financial responsibility. I don't know what we should do about that. Oh, is Kevin still involved in that side? We should talk about that off air.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that off air. All right, there you go. That's it. That's all. I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. Hope you're enjoying time with friends and family. And there's nothing else to listen to after this episode's done. So go enjoy your day. Go outside. Turn off your phones.
Definitely, we are the only ones. We're definitely the only one with good reviews. Anyway, so we got that going for us. Sorry, I read the wrong ones. I'll read ours out next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Love you. Have a great day.